G'day guys, how are we? I'm just doing a quick live today, so I've got like 20 minutes. But what I want to tell you about is on my next live, my plan is to do more. So basically, I'm going to change the channel a little bit. I'm going to do more live feedback, critiques, training, and less videos that I have been doing in the past. Just because I'm covering the same subjects, I've got that stuff up. I've got my app. I've got my other ways of seeing that information. But what I'd really like to do is like help you guys out. I think you'd learn a lot more by seeing what each other is struggling with. So my goal is to get your videos, put them up live so you can see them, so everyone can see them, see what you're struggling with, and then I'll critique that, give you feedback, tell you what I think you should be doing for handstands, for calisthenics, and stuff like that. So I'm just going to put in the chat now a link to a post. So add your videos to the comments of this post. Okay, and then if you follow that, you'll be able to put, now I'm not doing that now, so I'm not doing that in today's live, but I will do that in future lives. So that's the goal. So we'll just see how that works. I've been talking about it for some time. Okay, so I've just pinned that there. So if you want to be involved, all you got to do is add your video links, whether that's a public video on YouTube or a unlisted. Stick them in the thing on the post on YouTube that I've just done, and then I'll have a look. Make sure you're subscribed as well, and then I'll pick some of those or do all of them if I've got time every time I do a live. So I think that will work really well. Did you have any injuries? Not really. I had a really niggly left shoulder. So that's the reason, like, my one-arm handstand is really good on my right side, but terrible on my left. It stopped me training it on the left side for some time. I tried doing some back flips, back handsprings, when I just didn't have the mobility or the technique to do it, and landed really hard on my left shoulder. And it played me up for some time. So I sort of just done way more repetitions on the right side with the one arm training, and then just continued that. So just worked on that stronger side. So that's the main injury I've had. I got pulled a hamstring or tore a hamstring when I was at school. But apart from that, I don't really have any injuries. Now, you do run into going through lots of ring training and handstands, calisthenic stuff. You tend to run into the normal like elbow pain on the inside of your elbow here. That's really, really common that everyone gets. I wouldn't call that an injury. I call that more just a distraction or a restriction. And I've got, at the moment, I've got a little bit of sciatica on my left side, which I'm dealing with at the moment. But I think that's more just because I've changed my routine a bit from the way I'm working. So I'm sitting down a little bit more and then going straight into stuff. So I need to work on that and make sure I've got a bit more balance around my hips. But apart from that, no, not really injuries. Mental notes, start making videos to share next time. Yeah, definitely. Just stick them up whenever, because that community post is up there. And then my goal is to do these every 2 to 3 days. I'm going to do YouTube live instead of putting so many videos up on YouTube. Also, I'm going to put them up more direct to the app. Okay, I'm going to warm up. Let me know if there's anything you want me to show you now. I've got like 15 to 20 minutes now, actually. I've got to take my little boy to the dentist, so I haven't got loads of time. But let me just warm up, see whether I can handstand and demo anything. So if you've got any questions today, just stick them down there now, and we'll go from there. It's just, oh, geez. Should have warmed up before I go live, really. Okay, I can demo stuff now. So if there's anything you've got questions about training-wise, hey Pedro, how you doing, buddy? Oh, geez, I shouldn't have drunk too much before doing those handstand. Thanks for all your helpful videos and instructions. Awesome, thank you. Do you have a preference for handstands on yoga mat versus just the floor? I found the gym floor I'm on can be a bit slippery when I can get sweaty, but the mat being not quite as firm might be tougher. Exactly what you just said. Totally agree with that. The yoga mats aren't great in terms of sponginess. The more spongy the floor is, the less feedback you have. the less it's helping you with your balance. You'll see guys guys and girls that are doing like advanced handstands, like one arm handstands and things, they'll tend to search out hard floor, so like concrete or wood or something like that, and they'll carry a little wood platform around with them maybe for that reason. So you've got to sort of try and find what works best for you. Using a little bit of chalk can help if you're in a gym that has chalk, if your hand does get sweaty, or just find a handstand board that you like, and then just carry it around with you. But the only downside of that is that you could become very conditioned to only balancing on that board. That's the downside. But I've got from the handstand movement in the UK. She sent me one of these handstand boards. That's really good. Doesn't seem to get too sweaty on there either, compared to like concrete floor or just wood floor. So that works well, and then it's got rubber on the back. But the cool thing is it's hard, so you're not sinking into it in any way. I'm not a big fan of handstanding on the yoga mat. However, when you're first learning, you do find that floor surfaces can be really hard on your palms just because you're not used to putting so much weight there. So a yoga mat can help then. But I personally wouldn't handstand on a yoga mat. Still working on, that's a great time, and there's a crow. Can you hear the crow? Still working on crow to handstand, but feel like I need to work on shoulder stands as part of the transition. Are there sequences? Do your shoulders rest on something when legs up? I feel like I collapse. Yeah, so it's really about body positioning. So making sure that your hips are on top of the base. So if my hips are too far backwards in the position, everything's going to feel really, really heavy back towards the feet. So if I'm in this position here and my hips are right back here, and I try and get onto my crow position, you can just see that that's now really, really heavy in terms of being back onto the elbows and really heavy in terms of the legs and the hips, as opposed to this, and then I step into that position. Now look, see how much easier that is to transition up and down just because I am tipped forwards a little bit more. So yes, shoulder stands can be fantastic. If you're not comfortable in them, use something like, I've got my laptop on the other one of these, but you can do it on one or two. I can have my hands here and just getting comfortable of being in that position. Now I am resting my upper arm on my torso in that position, but it does build confidence and control to go up to that position, and then practicing those transitions. So coming from there through to a L-sit with a straddle or pike, depending on what hand placement you have. I'd recommend that everybody does those. They're fantastic exercise. Yeah, I'm surprised Rosie didn't go off actually when the crow was there. It was like walking around directly in front of her. Hey Paul, how you doing? Just got my first 2 90-degree handstand push-ups in sequence. That's amazing. I'm also starting to train for the one-arm handstand. My question today is, how often do you think it would be able to practice those two? 90-degree handstand push-ups, you want to make that get it to a point where it's comfortable, where you can hold a conversation while you're doing one. Now, that might be a big ask, but if you can do that with like 1 repetition and get it to a really comfortable stage, then you can work towards dead presses and stuff like that as well, and just carry over to planche work and everything. But we just need to be a little bit more careful with the handstand push-up work if it's a level where we need to keep building strength in it. If it's a level where we need to keep building strength and where we need to get stronger, you need to space it apart a little bit more and be hitting it a little bit harder in terms of reps and sets. So I'd be training it around 3 or 4 times a week if that's a priority. Probably 4. If you've got 90-degree handstand push-ups, you could probably do it 4 times a week and just space it out and just take a rest every other day, something like that. And then I would go with the one-arm handstand. I would do it every day, or every day you're training, even if it's just a short practice. It depends. If you're doing 90-degree handstand push-ups for doubles, you should be at a really high level in terms of ability to handstand. I can handstand every day and do stuff, and I don't get any soreness or any problem with that because my body's so used to doing it. And if you're doing 90-degree freestanding handstand push-ups, that should be the same for you. So you should be able to hit that daily. So I would do that, 6 days a week, 5 at minimum. But yeah, you need to be doing it that much to get a decent one-arm handstand. I followed your advice for years now, so thank you so much. That's awesome to hear. Rosie, yeah, she's always there. I should just do a Rosie cam. Just have like a separate camera with her in the corner. What do you do when you get sick? I don't really get sick. I'm pretty lucky. I don't tend to. Sometimes I get run down and I feel like I'm, getting a sore throat or something. That sort of minimum on the most that I get. I just back off a little bit on strength in terms of the longer sessions, but I do that anyway. So I believe like I don't program deloads for people because of the natural fluctuation in training. So, people will be on holiday, they'll have to work, or they'll feel a bit off, a bit sick. And then they'll find that you just naturally take a break in your training. So, that's what I do. I just back off a little bit. So that might mean that if I plan to do a hour 90-minute training session, I might do a 25-minute training session with just a few repetitions of the strength work, a little bit of balance, and that's my training. So I just back off a little bit depending on how much load my body's under. But yeah, I'm lucky. I don't tend to get sick. What was your first skill as a calisthenics mentor? You mean in what I learn or what I would teach people? You're talking about what I recommend first people start with? I mean, what got me into this style of training was handstands. So I saw what I learned. So what I done is that I saw Ido Portal in a one-arm handstand. So I just saw a picture of him, and I was like, I want to achieve that. And at the time, I had around an 8 to 10 second freestanding handstand. I've always been able to do that as a kid, like walking around on my hands and stuff. Saw this picture of Ido in a one-arm handstand, and then I was like, okay, I want to achieve the one-arm handstand. And it was that then opened my eyes up to everything else. So I then went to get a 60-second two-arm handstand. That took a couple of months to get that. And that was sort of the main first skill I learned. And then it was press handstand and handstand push-ups. I was already doing like handstand push-ups because I was doing a bit of CrossFit. So I was doing them up against the wall. So then that transitioned over to freestanding and just more calisthenics. But yeah, it would be the freestanding handstand, the two arm, and then like bent arm press handstand type variations. And then that opened my eyes up to planches and levers and muscle ups and all that type of thing. Again, muscle ups, I was playing with really terrible bar ones when I first started through CrossFit and was seeing people on YouTube and stuff. Hi, Paul. I'm a huge fan. Oh, awesome. Thank you for the super as well. Thank you very much for that. That's greatly appreciated. Hi, Paul. I'm a huge fan, but I was just curious about how to translate the toe pull drill to actually balancing better. I understand I underbalance and fall towards my chest a lot. How can I fix? Need handstand push up by you. So basically, when you do your toe pull drill, you want to get to a point where you can do it comfortably for repetitions. So if I do a toe pull now, so here, if I take the shoulders forwards, toes come off the wall, come up, go back. So once you can do this for repetitions and it's comfortable, then I would start to do this for holds. See how I've stopped there? My toes are off the wall. And then I'm going to try and get up to this position. But notice that I'm not going all the way to handstand like that, because that will happen. I'll fall over in that direction. So just like hover in so the toes off the wall and just there for time and then push back up again. Aim to get like a 2-second hold to start with, then a 4-second hold, and get to the point where you can do repetitions and holds. But that just takes a lot of repetitions and a lot of practice of that drill. But I think if you do that, if you only done that, you would make a really strong handstand that you can then put on top handstand push-ups or presses, or just hold a handstand for a long, great amount of time, because it increases your balance window so dramatically. And that underbalance is so important. Any other questions, guys? Like I said, this is a super quick one. Make sure you add any training videos to that link that I've put up on the at the start of the chat. And then in my next live, I'll go through your videos and critiques. Let me just check, see if anyone's put anything up yet. We got 2 comments. Yeah. Okay. So we've got people putting videos up already. So working on Creator Handstand. That's awesome. So on my next live, I will critique those, give you feedback on it. I won't do it now because I just don't have time now. And I need to work out the best process in terms of live and for you guys to see the video as well. And me to talk about it and then give you direct feedback. But I think that would be really useful, and it would be good if we can get lots of different levels as well. Don't think you need to be at a certain level to put your videos up. It could be that you're trying to work on your first kick up to the wall. It could be you're trying to work on a crow arm balance. You know, it doesn't have to be I'm working on a 1-arm handstand or a 90-degree handstand push up or something. It can be something that's, and flexibility and everything. And I'll be honest, if someone puts a video up that I can't give feedback on, if I don't have the skill set, obviously I'll let you know as well. But let's get some variety on there will be really useful. Is it necessary to focus on one skill after completing it? It can focus on another, or is it necessary or can do it all at the same time? It depends on your training schedule, what else you're doing, your background and things like that. I'm a big fan of having a main bent arm strength, a main straight arm strength, and then a handstand balance, because they normally come together. I mean, some people come to me and say they want to get a pistol squat and a muscle up. If you want to get a pistol squat and a muscle up, obviously you don't need handstand balance. But I would normally work on those things because it's that strength, that gymnastic strength training that I have used the last 10, 11 years. And I think that's the best way to train, which breaks up the bent arm and the straight arm and allows you to concentrate on it. It's really tricky to get, a push and a pull of both of those. That's really tricky to get at the same time. However, I would definitely train both of them, but you just have like accessory work. You count that as accessory, even though it's, if you're doing 1-arm chin and handstand push-ups, that's very, very hard to work on both of those at the same time while also working on press and planche and levers and freestyle and handstand balance. But it doesn't mean that I wouldn't put all of those in the same program. It just means they would be a priority. So if you're working 1-arm chins and handstand push-ups, if the priority is the handstand push-up, I'll be doing the main work of the handstand push-ups. Supersetted or secondary exercises would be the pulling work, but that would come secondary. But if it's the other way around, if your goal is to get a 1-arm chin over a handstand push-up, we would have the 1-arm chin up first in the program and then followed by the handstand push-up work. It just means one's going to lag behind, but I'll definitely do it that way and have a full program depending on your schedule. Do you think tuck planche press handstand is effective step towards planche press? Could you show us how to do it, please? Yeah, tuck planche press, I think is a great movement to use anyway, because even if you've got no goal of getting a more advanced planche press, it helps on a bad day to get a press handstand. So if you make a press handstand that's really dependent on flexibility, for example, if you're lose flexibility for a reason, or you're just not feeling 100%, you just don't have that full range of motion, then having the ability to lower the hip and go more planchy with your press. So I would, for the like a tuck planche press, so from here, tuck planche, press up to handstand like so, I'd be working eccentrics, passing through a tuck planche, and then going down to the floor like so. You can also go, it depends if someone's got a press handstand already. So if they've got like a press handstand that's using flexibility, like so, we could attack the planche by going more like lower hip, making it more of an ugly press, and then attack the planche in that direction. But both variations need to have a strong planche. So anyone I've got working handstands, I also highly recommend majority of them, depending on where they're at, also working on like tuck planche. So number one, you need a super strong tuck planche. Number 2, we need a handstand, and then we need to go between them, normally eccentrics, handstand to tuck planche. So that's like real simple, real basic way of doing it, but you need to tick off those first. Which one is better for handstands, middle split training or hamstring flexibility pancake training? I would say hamstrings and pancake training. Middle splits is like a great to have, but you don't need it. And if you take your pancake and your hamstring stretching far enough, you'll basically have 80% of your middle split anyway. Like I'd love to do more. I don't do hardly any middle split training, if not anything now. But I can still get down to like calves. If I lean forwards and stick the butt out a little bit, I can get calves to floor in middle splits, just from maintaining more pancake and hamstring length. But I would definitely prioritize those over middle splits. I thought I'd follow you about a month. I wanted to ask you about exercises for core. Actually, I hold about 10 seconds in handstand, but I think I lack core stability. Core, I would always put that down to like a secondary, or it's like a side effect of calisthenics training. I wouldn't do specific core training. So I wouldn't be doing sit-ups. I wouldn't be doing anything like that. You could argue like toes to bar or L-sit holds is core training, and it is. But I would just go through all the calisthenics type exercises and you'll get a strong core. I wouldn't be doing isolated core exercises, because it will make you really good at core exercises, but it won't make you any better at the calisthenics exercises. In tuck planche, I'm stuck how to lean more on how to lift my legs. So just make sure you've got full protraction and you can hold there in a planche lean. Make sure that's really good. And then make sure that you can go into like a tuck planche position with light toe assist in the position. And just, planche leans is probably the number one to really isolate and get very strong in protraction, and then just walk the feet in while you're in that planche lean position. That will fill any gaps or highlight any gaps in that position. So if I'm in a planche lean, so I'm rounding my lower back, hips are down in that position, and then I walk in that position to my tuck planche, light toes, and walk back again. See how the toes are like doing that? What we don't want to do is do this or do this. So I'm sinking backwards. You make the toes very, very light and just walk in and out and do planche leans, and do that every couple of days. Get yourself strong there and you'll get a tuck planche. It just needs consistency and really concentrate on protraction. Guys, I've got to go in like 1 minute. I've got to take my little boy to the dentist. I'll get in trouble if not. The wife will come after me. How can I improve under balance? Should I bend my arms? You can play with bending your arms. I wouldn't normally teach bending the arms. If you don't have straight arm under balance control, toe pulls. Just do toe pulls every day. Like I just demoed a second ago, do them that way. Hi, Paul. So I missed that one. Hi, Paul. Your videos are very helpful. Thank you very much. Thanks for the feedback. Love the content. In tuck planche, what should my hand position be? So tuck planche, not there, there, and there. So just go external rotation. Everyone varies how much external rotation, but definitely external rotation, and hands a little bit wider, and then that. See the difference there with my chest or my back I've done? So not there, I've done that. So pushing the floor away. Imagine you're pushing a car. So you would want your back to be really rounded and pushed. You wouldn't want to be collapsing through the scapula. You wouldn't want your arms to be bending, and your hands would naturally go a little bit wider, related to like a squat position as well. So to get a good squat, you wouldn't squat with your feet like this. You'd externally rotate a little bit and go a little bit wider. Create space and a better position of strength. How can I hold bent arm, tuck planche, and then move to handstand? Crow to handstand. Learn crow to handstand. Become very strong at crow to handstand. Practice pike push-ups. And then if you want bent arm planche, then practice holds in a bent arm planche as well. Guys, I'm going to have to sign off. If not, I'm going to be late. So if you look back at the top of the comments, you'll see add your videos to the comments of this post. So I've put a community post up on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe, stick your videos on there, your links, so you can upload your video to YouTube. You can put it unlisted if you don't want it to be on your channel. Stick it on there. And then next time I do a live, I'm going to go through your videos, give you feedback, give you critiques, The plan is to do it more often. We'll see how it works. Any feedback, any requests for content and stuff, let me know, and I'll speak to you soon. One more look at Rosie before we go.